I'm worried to ask this question. Dr. Sproul, take a sip of Diet Coke. How can we overcome the view that the Old Testament portrays an angry, unloving, non-gracious God?
Can I just? We're finishing the book of Revelation at our church this Lord's Day, and anyone who believes that the God on the left side of the book is the angry guy, and the God on the right side of the book is, meek and gracious, and read all the way to the right side of the book. Yeah. And the key, of course, is, and I think this goes back to the other question as well, about, if he just wants us to be with him for eternity. Because the fact of the matter is, God is glorified when he pours out his wrath on sin and unrighteousness. And he is no less glorified by that in the New Testament. I would argue more so than he is in the Old Testament. And so that has to do with his wrath against sin.
You can say it. If you need, Voddie, you need to practice it a little more.
Okay.
Wrath.
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 Everyone has heard Dr. Sproul's sermon on Uzzah and the Ark. I mean, some of us have heard it many times, and it gets better every time we hear it. It's one of his most wonderful, extraordinary sermons. And you could react to Uzzah. He puts out his hand, stable the ark. It's Florida roads, I-4, potholes, holes in the concrete. This is.
If it were I-4, it wouldn't be moving.
Well, that's true. He touches the ark. Now, everything about the story is wrong. The ark should never have been there. Kohathites were supposed to be dealing with the ark, then not touching it with poles, and so on and so on. But God strikes him dead. And you could respond and say, well, that's Old Testament. And then, okay, let's go into the church of the New Testament, post-Pentecost, and you've got Ananias and Sapphira about the price of a piece of real estate that the church may or may not have had any business knowing anyway, and he strikes both of them dead. And that's the New Testament. That's post-Pentecost, still in the flush of Pentecost. Let's get back to the early church. Yeah, let's get back to the early church. It's way too simplistic to divide the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament.
There is a difference, though. One of the ways that I answer that question is to remind people that only once in all of the Bible did God kill an innocent man, and that was in the New Testament.
Innocent in himself, but guilty by imputation.
Absolutely.
Could you discuss the relationship between God's sovereignty and salvation and man's responsibility?
What's to talk about it? I mean, God's sovereign, and his sovereignty makes me responsible for everything I do.
Moving on. What is the balance between standing for truth and maintaining the unity of the Spirit?
That reminds me of a story. Many years ago in Ligonier, we were visited by a group of about 30 Pentecostal Christians from France. And they visited our house, and they were so excited about their unity in the Spirit. And their favorite song is "We Are One in the Spirit," and so on. And they were telling me in their zeal and excitement about their experience how their unity in the Spirit had overcome any disunity. And there were Roman Catholics, Lutherans, Anglicans, Methodists, all the different groups. And I said, that's an amazing thing. It's a great thing. I said, but you, the Roman Catholic, you, the Methodist, the Lutheran, you're one in the Spirit. Let me just ask you, are you justified by faith and faith alone? Or is it by faith and something else? And within 5 minutes, they were at each other's throats. Because what they did was they tried to camouflage their differences and dismiss them as insignificant. I don't think that is blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, but it's very close. Because the Spirit is the author of truth. And it is the Spirit who gives us the word of truth. And the grounds of our sanctification is that word of truth. And so you can't put the unity of the Spirit against the truth of the Spirit without dire consequences.